Does a man need a wife? Proverbs 12:4 says, "An excellent wife is the crown of her husband." A crown is a symbol of authority. In God's kingdom, a man's authority to lead others comes in large part from how he fulfills his charge as a husband. A thriving wife is the seal of his ability to rule. She is the evidence that he can lead in a humble, loving way, the way Christ leads us. After relating to the Lord one-on-one, a man's most important ministry is to his wife. She is his first disciple. He's not really qualified for this since he's not above her spiritually. Therefore, the largest part of his headship is to initiate humility and dependence on the Lord. When we lead from a place of dependence on the Lord, he gives us grace for it. God's blanket statement concerning marriage since the beginning of creation is Genesis 2:18. "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Husbands and wives need each other. God alone does not satisfy us because he did not create us to be satisfied only by him. Even though Adam lived in God's manifest presence and talked with him face to face, God still said he was alone. Without a woman, he was incomplete. He could never become who he was called to become or do what he was created to do. A man desperately needs the influence of a woman in his life. It's easy to feel godly and surrender to the Lord when we're all alone. However, when every decision must take into consideration someone with completely different needs and desires, we begin to see how selfish and immature we are. Then, when we must work together to serve totally dependent children, we see our condition even more clearly. Without a wife's input, a man is far more vulnerable to the enemy and the flesh. How many men have become imbalanced or deceived either because they did not marry or because they did not let their wives speak into their lives? They only had one part of God's perspective of themselves, their marriage, their children, their careers, or their ministries, because they were unwilling to receive the rest of it from their wives. When the disciples said, "It is better for a man not to marry," Jesus replied in Matthew 19:11, "Not all men can accept this statement, but only those to whom it has been given." In other words, the calling to remain single is given to certain individuals. Similarly, Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7:7, "Yet I wish that all men were even as I myself am," referring to his singleness. However, each man has his own gift from God. Notice how Paul reaffirms what Jesus said in Matthew 19:11. Marriage or singleness is based on a man's own gift from God or his calling. A handful of passages in Scripture indicate that there is something special about the power of two people being in agreement. Here's some examples. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. If two lie down together, they keep warm. And if one can overpower him who is alone, two can resist him. If two of you agree on earth about anything that they may ask, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. How could one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight? And Mark 6:7 links Jesus sending his disciples out in pairs and giving them authority over unclean spirits. These passages highlight some of the advantages of two equally yoked people partnering together. They comfort, protect, and rescue each other. They multiply each other's labor, prayers, and warfare. They keep each other accountable, encouraged, and focused on the mission Jesus gave us. There is no context to which this principle is more applicable than marriage. This is why it is so deep in God's heart for husbands and wives to learn how to labor together in unity. His kingdom depends on it. The power and light of his church rises and falls dramatically according to the oneness of its marriages. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out my free book available at the link provided. Thanks for watching.